I've always celebrated the woman because I was raised by a strong Black woman.
In a hip-hop world ruled by tough-talking male rappers, Queen Latifah burst onto the scene and flipped everything upside down. She wasn't just another artist climbing the charts. She became a fierce feminist force who made history from Grammys to Emmys, and even an Oscar nomination. She built a legacy most rappers could only dream of. But today, Queen Latifah's name is trending online for reasons nobody expected. Social media is exploding with debates and controversy, not about her incredible achievements, but about a situation that has left fans confused and asking, what's really going on with the Queen of Hip-Hop? So buckle up, because we're digging into the chaos that brought her back into the spotlight. To understand how things escalated, we need to rewind. Her story starts in Newark, New Jersey, where young Dana Elaine Owens grew up surrounded by constant pressure. Her father was a cop, her mother a strict teacher, and their home was filled with conflict. From an early age, she felt weighed down by expectations she could never fully meet. Her mother's tight rules made her feel trapped, like she could never truly be herself. Every day at school was another reminder that she didn't fit the quiet, obedient mold others wanted from her. She was smart, no question, but she was also spirited, expressive, and impossible to box in. Then, everything collapsed. First came her parents' divorce, and soon after, the unimaginable, her mother's sudden passing. That loss shattered her world, but instead of letting the pain consume her, she turned it into fuel. She poured her heartbreak into rap, using music as her escape and her weapon. Despite a harsh, male-dominated industry determined to shut her out, Queen Latifah pushed through every barrier and proved that no amount of pressure could silence her rise. People started calling her fake, acting like she didn't belong in the rap game at all. And it traces back to when she was just 12, showing off her early rhyming skills at a local event. In the middle of her performance, the MC hit her with a wildly inappropriate question. Do you have a boyfriend yet? That single moment made her realize how early judgment, sexism, and doubt would follow her throughout her career. Instead of encouragement, she faced resistance, especially from her strict father, who saw rap not as art but as rebellion. Their clashes weren't just typical family arguments. They were head-on battles of pride, misunderstanding, and generational pressure that made her feel like she was fighting for the right to even have a dream. When he once caught her freestyling with her friends, things escalated fast. The punishment was harsh, leaving her feeling trapped and misunderstood, like the one person who should have protected her was instead holding her back. That kind of strictness didn't feel like guidance. It felt like losing her freedom, like being denied the chance to truly be herself. But even in those moments of isolation, she clung to music. Rap became her escape, her outlet, her therapy. By the time she dropped her debut album, All Hail the Queen, she hit the world with raw truth, feminism, equality, empowerment, and it blew up. Her anthem, UNITY, later cemented her place in hip-hop history, earning her a Grammy and turning her into a symbol for women everywhere. Suddenly, every major magazine wanted her, TV shows chased her, and her influence skyrocketed. But with fame came crushing expectations, an image that became both her crown and her cage. Still, she kept pushing forward. When Nature of a Sister dropped, her sharp, fearless lyrics proved once again that she wasn't just part of hip-hop, she was shaping it. Nature of a Sister skyrocketed. Critics praised it, Billboard ranked it high, and Queen Latifah was shining brighter than ever. But as her fame climbed, her private life became a target for everyone to dissect. Then came 1996, and everything collapsed at once. A sudden police raid reportedly uncovered marijuana and a firearm, and the media went into a frenzy. Overnight, headlines twisted the story, turning a respected feminist icon into tabloid fuel. One moment she was a symbol of empowerment. Next, she was being judged like all her achievements meant nothing. It was her first major scandal, and it hit hard. The coverage was relentless. TV, magazines, newspapers, everyone digging for more dirt. Fans who once saw her as a hero were confused and divided, and the image she had spent years building began to crumble. Behind the fierce persona, Latifah slid into a deep depression as the pressure became unbearable. But she refused to hide. She spoke openly about her Newark upbringing, where survival sometimes meant carrying protection, and admitted to using cannabis while making it clear that none of it defined her. Still, the backlash was brutal. The same media that once celebrated her now mocked her pain, treating her lowest moment like entertainment. And yet, from that chaos, she rose. She turned criticism into fuel, transforming every insult into strength. Latifah learned that mistakes don't define you, your comeback does. What looked like a downfall became her rebirth. She emerged stronger, wiser, and unshakably determined, proving that even when the crown slips, a real queen adjusts it and shines even brighter. The tragedy of being a black woman in a prejudiced world hit Queen Latifah harder than most people realized. From the moment she entered the music scene, she wasn't just fighting for success. She was fighting against a system that judged her twice over, once for her gender and again for her race. When personal heartbreak collided with public controversy, the pressure became overwhelming. She rose as a symbol of strength, feminism, and power, but that spotlight came with brutal double standards. Male rappers could be involved in scandals and walk away branded as rebels or bad boys. But one misstep from Queen Latifah triggered a media storm. The same world that celebrated her triumphs offered her no grace when she stumbled. The truth was obvious. It wasn't just scrutiny, it was hypocrisy. Her mistakes were amplified, twisted, exaggerated, while others were forgiven instantly. The moment a black woman showed vulnerability, society rushed to tear her down. Her trailblazing achievements were forgotten the second she showed a crack in her armor, and through it all, she was expected to be perfect. Flawless music, flawless behavior, flawless image. If she expressed emotion, she was dramatic. If she stayed silent, she was cold. It was a no-win situation, a constant microscope that male artists never faced. Yet what made Queen Latifah powerful wasn't perfection, it was resilience. Even when society tried to box her in or break her down, she kept standing tall. Her strength wasn't in never falling. It was in rising every single time the world tried to push her out. Male rappers could stumble again and again, and somehow the world always found a way to forgive them. Their behavior was dismissed as edgy or rebellious. But Queen Latifah never got that luxury. Every move she made was judged through the harsh lens of gender and race, turning normal mistakes into personal attacks. The pressure wasn't just professional, it cut deep. Her struggle wasn't about a single misstep. It was about a system that refused to see her as human. As a black woman in a male-dominated industry, every flaw was magnified and every moment of vulnerability treated like failure. She wasn't allowed to be tired, scared, or imperfect because the world was waiting to label her a disappointment. That level of pressure can break even the strongest spirits. Latifah had to smile through exhaustion, push through heartbreak, and shine while critics tried to extinguish her light. The worst part? Society showed her no empathy. Her humanity was ignored, replaced with a rigid expectation to always be the invincible queen. Her music earned her awards and respect, but it couldn't shield her from the loneliness of being misunderstood. The world praised her voice, yet overlooked the woman behind it. The woman carrying grief, expectations, and the weight of being seen as a symbol rather than a person. Her story became a reflection of the struggle many women of color face every day. And just when her career was soaring, tragedy struck again. In 1992, her beloved brother, Lancelot Owens Jr., died in a motorcycle accident. Shattering her world, losing the person who had been her protector and closest friend left a wound that followed her for years, a grief even fame couldn't heal. Losing her big brother, the person she trusted most, shattered Queen Latifah's world. One moment he was her protector, and the next he was only a memory. His sudden death left her drifting in grief, overwhelmed by a loneliness and emptiness she didn't know how to escape. Music had always been her sanctuary, but this time even that couldn't soothe her. The pain pushed her into a deep depression, and she later admitted she used cannabis just to numb the emotions she couldn't handle. It wasn't rebellion, it was survival, a desperate attempt to quiet the storm inside. But the comfort never lasted. Her purpose faded, her voice felt heavy, and the spotlight became a prison. She smiled for cameras while silently falling apart, battling sadness, doubt, and the crushing weight of a grief that refused to loosen its grip. As the emotional wounds piled up, the darkness only deepened. Her energy disappeared, her passion dimmed, and it seemed like she might never find her way back. Then came another blow, the 1996 arrest, bringing even more public scrutiny to a woman already fighting invisible battles. To the world, it looked like a scandal. But beneath the headlines was someone carrying years of pain, still grieving, still struggling, still human. What people saw as a mistake was, in many ways, the breaking point of someone who had been strong for far too long. This wasn't the first time Queen Latifah had been knocked down, but this blow hit differently. It wasn't just a setback. It was a collision between the strong image she showed the world and the pain she had been carrying for years. The family wounds, the loss of her brother, the pressure of fame, everything cracked through the armor she'd worn for so long. She felt trapped inside expectations that demanded perfection. She wasn't allowed to be human anymore. She had become a symbol. People wanted the unshakable queen, even when she felt completely broken. Behind the confident smile was a woman fighting silent battles that no one ever saw. In those darkest moments, she had to face her truth. She realized she couldn't keep pretending to be invincible. Strength didn't mean never breaking. It meant acknowledging the pain, confronting it, and rebuilding herself piece by piece. Fame meant nothing if she kept losing herself on the inside. That breaking point became her turning point. Instead of letting the darkness consume her, she chose to rise. She turned her pain into power, her setbacks into lessons, and began reclaiming her life, her peace, and her purpose. What nearly destroyed her ended up igniting her rebirth. From then on, Queen Latifah refused to live behind a mask. She spoke openly about her struggles and transformed instead of hiding. Her journey became a blueprint for survival, a reminder that even when the crown slips, a real queen adjusts it, stands taller, and turns her tragedy into triumph. Making that change wasn't easy, but this was the moment Queen Latifah truly rebuilt herself. She chose to take back control of her story, to rise out of chaos, face her pain, and turn it into power. She returned to what had always grounded her, her work, her music, her art, this time stronger and wiser than ever. Her comeback wasn't quiet. It was bold, fearless, and intentional. She dove into powerful film roles like Set It Off and Chicago, portraying women who were tough yet vulnerable, broken yet unbreakable. These roles mirrored her own journey and showed the world that strength and sensitivity can exist together. Those performances redefined her image. She was no longer just a pioneering female rapper. She had become a symbol of resilience. Every hardship she endured became fuel for her creativity. She transformed her scars into art and her pain into purpose, becoming a voice for countless women who had long been overlooked. She stopped hiding her past and embraced it fully. Her message was simple. I've fallen, but look at me now. That honesty made her even more inspiring. Queen Latifah proved that true power isn't about perfection, it's about owning your story, learning from it, and rising stronger each time you fall. Her journey became a blueprint for women everywhere. Through her authenticity and courage, she showed that even the deepest wounds can become your strength. Queen Latifah didn't just rebuild her career, she redefined what it means to be a powerful woman, becoming a living symbol of rebirth and transformation. Queen Latifah proved something extraordinary. No matter how hard you fall, you can always rise again. Every time life knocked her down, she came back stronger, showing the world that resilience isn't about never falling, it's about refusing to stay down. She didn't just transform herself, she inspired a cultural shift, proving that pain and failure can become the fuel for an even brighter future. Her story resonates with anyone who's ever felt overlooked or broken. She became living proof that second chances are real for those who refuse to give up. Heartbreak, loss, and public scrutiny didn't destroy her. They reshaped her. Her comeback wasn't just about career revival, it was about courage, survival, and reinvention. But behind the triumphs lay a painful truth. Society celebrates powerful women, but punishes them the moment they show vulnerability. Even at the top, Queen Latifah carried the weight of impossible expectations. People admired her strength, but denied her the right to be human, demanding perfection from someone who was navigating prejudice, pressure, and deep emotional scars. Despite the double standards, she kept pushing forward. She broke barriers not meant to be broken and faced criticism harsher than any of her male peers. She wasn't allowed to stumble or rest, yet she carried the burden with grace, showing the world that true strength isn't emotionless, it's the courage to stand tall through the storm. Her legacy continues to challenge the belief that women, especially Black women, must always be unbreakable. Queen Latifah proved that real power lies in balance, in being fierce yet vulnerable, strong yet human. Even under impossible pressure, she didn't just endure, she evolved, becoming a symbol of hope and inspiration for generations to come. Queen Latifah has lived under relentless pressure her entire life, expected to be perfect, unbreakable, and never show pain. But her real power was never about being flawless. It was her ability to rise every time life knocked her down. Again and again, she proved that true strength comes from persistence, not perfection. Despite all her success, society never truly let her breathe. While others were allowed to fall and recover, she had to keep going without showing a single crack. As a black woman in a harsh industry, she had to fight harder, shine brighter, and push further just to be respected. The higher she climbed, the clearer it became that her biggest battle wasn't against music charts, it was against double standards. She wasn't allowed to be tired or grieving. She had to smile through everything. The role of the strong woman became both her crown and her cage. But what made her journey extraordinary was the grace with which she carried that weight. She refused to let pressure define her. She stood back up every time she fell, becoming a symbol of resilience for women everywhere. Her message was simple and powerful. Strength isn't about being invincible, it's about rising, scars and all. And that's why her legacy endures. Queen Latifah showed that real queens can fall, cry, heal, and still hold their heads high. Her story is a reminder to anyone fighting silent battles that they're not alone. Like this video, hit that subscribe button and share it with someone who needs a reminder that they're stronger than they think. Drop a comment below. What part of Queen Latifah's story inspired you the most? Let's keep the conversation alive and celebrate the unstoppable spirit of one of the greatest women in hip-hop history.